So welcome back. And what we would be doing is, let me share you how we will proceed for this. Uh, all the participants are in the listen to mode only, so they can't speak over. However, if there are any questions and queries, there is a chat window wherein you can write all your queries, and somewhere between the webinar and towards the end of the webinar, I'm going to address those queries as well. And certain queries I might address while the webinar is on, but all you need to do is to type all your queries in the chat window that is provided. So let me start with the topic that we have. The topic for today is business visualization, dashboard, and storyboarding. We're going to structure this talk based on the agenda that we have. So first we're going to talk about what is the concept of business visualization. We're also going to talk about applications and benefits of the business visualization in the industry. And then we will move on to some of the demos of this concept using SAS Visual Analytics as a tool. And towards the end, I'm also going to talk about the relationship of SAS with NMMIS distance learning, NGAST we call it. It's a special relationship that I would spend some time, and then we would move on to the Q&A session that we have. And here again, I'm going to respond to the queries that come to me either via chat window or the Q&A panel that this particular WebEx provides you. So it's once again, it's a listen to mode only kind of a webinar. All your queries has to be typed in or keyed in into the chat window or the Q&A window we have. So let me begin with the agenda that we have for the day, and then from where we'll take on the other aspects that we have. Now, guys, coming back to the word of the data analytics, you see, this is needless to say that the importance of analytics has been realized by many companies, and it is one of the ongoing things. And many of those statements, as we can see, either by Peter Drucker or Nielsen or Sean Roth, all of them, they just underline the importance of the data. Now we understand, as this series of webinar, we have been talking earlier about machine learning, many other concepts. So you see, this piece of webinar focuses on business visualization or the visual analytics. Well, this is an important piece in the overall journey of analytics or the process of analytics. Now, this piece connects business users with the analytics team, and it allows us to do not only report but also do quick things, maybe obtain forecasts or do any kind of analysis and all sorts of reporting. So business visualization is now being seen as a new front of doing reporting, and likewise in the market there are a lot of tools. The tool that we obviously will focus on is SAS Visual Analytics here. So coming to the concept of business visualization, what exactly it is and how it is what we'll see. Now before we go ahead, this concept as such, there are a lot of articles on the web, there are a lot of references which can be found out, which talks about the importance of the concept. Data visualization is being perceived by all and sundry in analytics as an important part of any analytics initiative. The best part is it communicates your findings, business results, or any data pertaining to any business process in a conducive manner, so that the brain and the eyes can perceive via pictures the data or the story that you want to communicate. Nevertheless, such a concept or the skill set wherein a visual analyst might be able to depict what analytics team has found to the business audience, such kind of skills are in demand. I mean, there was a Forbes article, which talks about data visualization is the future. Then there are a lot of, references that you might want to find, explore yourself, that talks about how the demand for such a skill set is on the rise in the world. So a lot of articles available. Some of the screenshots I have just captured. Organizations have realized the benefit of the same thing, and anywhere when it comes to the skills which are top in demand, they always list visualization along with obviously other things that could be, cloud computing, big data, analytics, cybersecurity, and other things. So what we are discussing here is the need of the hour of the industry, and this concept as such is very, very popular and getting popular day by day. And we'll realize through this webinar as well that how easy and beneficial it is to use such kind of tools and technologies to communicate our findings that we have in the analytics. So moving on, there was a lot of surveys that we can search. So one of them was done by ID Research Services. Of course, the survey is slightly old, but it's true as of today as well. See, the benefit that business intelligence might bring in is, one of the best thing that it can do is, it helps to improve your decision-making process. We'll also see that, I can have data which might span over thousands, millions, or billions of lines, but I can draw information which is most pertinent to me. And the kind of tools and technologies which are coming up, they allow to do a lot of other things. For example, as a business manager, I might not be an expert in analytics, but still, it empowers me to do ad hoc data analysis. It is also referred to as self-service analytics, because most of the things, you might need not depend on a statistician to take on certain things that as a manager you might be interested. So it empowers a manager to do correlation analysis on the fly, curve fitting, and many of those other aspects which were considered to be, the forte of statisticians. But the tools that are now coming, which we identify them as either visualization tools or the tools for analytics, the term that we're coining up nowadays is self-service analytics. So the user himself is empowered to do other things, and the tool that we're going to see, we would see all the benefits that, how does it save time to do the analysis, how it can reduce burden or dependence on the IT. So such surveys are also there, and the internet is fraught with such kind of surveys, which again and again brings the importance of a concept like this. Well, the business visualization obviously, allows you to not only, see what has happened in the past, just like the back mirror of a car, but also, it opens vistas to see what is, going to come. And combining both the past data, the present, and the future, the business is in, much better position to take decisions that can have short-term or long-term implications. Coming to the SaaS analytics, there are a lot of tools, and the BI, overall business intelligence, or the business visualization, as we talk of it, it has to be supported by underlying analytical activities from where your analysis might come. And SaaS as a whole provides everything under one umbrella. So be it your data preparation, statistics, machine learning, data mining, forecasting, SaaS has a variety of tools that they work in sync with each other. And SaaS Visual Analytics, the one that we are focusing on today, can culminate as an end user tool for all the findings that have been done. And the tool or the dashboards or the reports that we create has to be in such a manner that with little effort, the business user can get what he requires or what he needs. So such is the importance of the tool that we have, and the visualization is something that stands at an outer periphery, and it becomes a communication link between the business user and the analytical teams that are working over there. So before we go ahead, what happens is, the tool that we are going to discuss is SaaS Visual Analytics. And what we realize that it's not only about, this tool is not only about, let's say creating reports, but then, the tool has inherent capabilities to do data preparation. So that could mean, any kind of joins, creation of new columns, a typical ETL activity. The tool has the capability. One might or might not want you to use that. The ETL can be still separately done using traditional tools or any other tools or any of the databases. SaaS VA can read and support data from different types of data sources, be it, RDBMS like Oracle to MySQL, be it, new age data storage management systems like Hadoop, and all the other structures like CSV files, text files, or any other kind of data input. We can have the data. And then comes, the integration part of it. You combine different kinds of, data sets and then come up with explorations wherein the idea for a business analyst is to understand what are the underlying structures in the data, what best information can be produced. And once the data exploration is over, we can create final dashboard for the CXOs or the end business users that we have. And the best part is that all those dashboards and the reports, they can be viewed over and it can be seen on the mobile devices as well. So if you have a mobile phone, it could be an Android phone or it could be an iPhone. Likewise, you would have App Store and Play Store. You can just search for an app called SAS Mobile BI app. Now this is one of the apps that is provided by SAS. All you need to put in the search of a Play Store or an App Store is SAS BI app, or simply type SAS BI. That app is free to download and it gives you a flavor of what we are talking here, and all those reports can be seen on the mobile devices. In fact, that is the preferred mode. A sales manager or a CXO is always on the run, might not have laptop available all the time, so the mobile devices can easily show what is happening in the organization. So it's empowering those people who are always on the run, and this is what we can do. Now, having seen that what we have largely as SAS Visual Analytics, any tool, for example, this tool, even VI, it provides all the things. It is easy to use. Of course, it is sophisticated enough to take care of all the analytical needs. Any user or analyst can do any kind of ad hoc exploration and visualizations, and then later on the results can be communicated to the business user. Most of the time, what you will see is that the dependence on IT is pretty less here, unlike many other traditional tools if you look at. And obviously, what we've said that the dashboards that we have, they can be communicated over mobile devices as well. So these are some of the benefits that a tool would provide. And if you're comparing certain tools, you need to see like what are the capabilities of the tool in terms of accessibility, usability, access over the mobile phones, the data handling capabilities, the exploration visualization capabilities. So these are some of the key points which a typical BI tool should have. In fact, the buzzword now is business visualization. This is a part of BI initiative. And the SAS Visual Analytics, what it does, it is not only reporting, it is analytics plus reporting. And the tool can communicate with social media, so you can analyze tweets, you can go to Facebook, all the APIs are all in place. Once you have the license for SAS, you're free to analyze several of those social media platforms that we have. Analysis of several sorts can be applied over here, and it takes very less time to do all of it. And that happens because of the design, which we call the laser server technology, which goes behind the scenes, which stores the data on in-memory basis. It allows concurrent users to do analysis multiple times and at a concurrent kind of a scheme. And the time it takes, since every data is pulled in memory, is really, really fast. So you might see that earlier days one might have to create an OLAP cube to slice and dice. It might take 6 to 7 days. Here it's just a matter of few seconds that any user can create an hierarchy on his own, and then he can slice and dice the data. So such are some of the benefits that are there. On top of it, most of the visualization tools in the market, you have to integrate with them some other analytical platform to do things like correlation and curve fitting. This tool comes with the inbuilt capabilities to do everything on the fly. So these are some of the benefits. So not only it's about exploration, it's always about discovery, asking questions to the data, and then getting the right kind of answers that we require. Well, these are some of the things that I was saying, that the same tool could be used for anything. Let's take an example of customer behavior and retention. So here we can easily identify the segments wherein the retention effort or the calculations needs to be done. It can be used to do any kind of analysis, finding out what variables influence the customer retention and the loyalty. We can examine all the customer comments in Twitter, be it coming as an internal text files from an internal database, or it could be on Twitter, I can do forecasting predictions. I can also do what if kind of scenarios, let's say for the churn forecast. And at the same time, whatever findings we have, they can be communicated with all the stakeholders involved on their either mobile devices or the laptop or over an email. And if we have Office Analytics also, the reports created by VA could also be opened in Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, so it has Office connectivity as well. So these are some of the typical benefits that you get. These are some of the examples that I've just put in the screenshot. What we're going to do after a little while, we're going to visit the tool and do these things for ourselves. But then any kind of text analysis, let's say you want to find out sentiment, or you want to find out some kind of a topic, or you simply want to have a word cloud. All these things can be easily maintained in these tools. Many other examples, like it could be a geomap, it could be a network map onto a geomap, it could be any other traditional graphs that you might have used, or let's say forecasting kind of a thing. The tool supports lots and lots of visualizations, and later on they can all be plugged in a single dashboard that is there. So all we see is what if I have to put it some of the key points here. The visualizations are marvelous, and the variety is by far the largest as compared to any other visualization tool. It has open connectivity with all the other applications like Microsoft Office. It can be tested, viewed, seen, and modified using laptops or mobile phones. So whether it is about visualization, reporting, or creating a dashboard, or putting comments, or finding out insights, everything is supported by the tool that we have. And the other benefits, which I'll be quick here, things like scalability of the data. So as I said, Visual Analytics can work on a grid, it can connect to Hadoop, so size of the data is not a problem, which also means the scalability going in the future. You can easily scale this particular tool. The deployment is really fast. Everything works on in-memory basis, so your data analysis is typically very fast. This tool comes with a lot of analytical visualization, and the results are represented in a simple manner so that even a non-statistician might understand the concepts of correlation and other things. And then obviously, whether it is an MS app or whether it is a mobile app, these things are available. The insights are available. So here what we see that the tool supports all sorts of types of the data, be it Hadoop, RDBMS, non-relational data, data sets coming from ERP. It allows for ODBC connections, and any kind of PC file it can done. And also it has capabilities to integrate, consolidate, joins data coming from different types of structures, bringing them into one place, and then preparing your data as well. Then comes the visualization. Then there are other options to load heavy data on a faster manner. And then all the data sets can be updated in this. So these are the things. So these are some of the key points that we have discussed. So there's a lot to discuss here. But what I would gonna do is, in a short while, I'm gonna go to the tool, and I'm getting some questions like what kind of visualizations it might have, which other tools might not have. So these questions, as I go along, I'll be taking around. So there's a lot of benefits that this tool will bring, and this webinar recording and everything is going to be shared across all the other things. Some of the questions I think I can address right now. One of the questions asked was data scalability. So I'll just quickly answer that concept. What happens is, today you're an organization of exercise. Let's say I'm a bank. I have my data sizes available with me, and I know what kind of data I collect, maybe a few TBs. But then any tool that is put in, it should be ready enough to handle data. So 10 years down the line, the data might grow exponentially. So the scale of data is going to go high. Likewise, the tools and the technologies supporting should be scalable enough to handle large and large amounts of the data. It's not only about the size, but also about the type of the data. So scalability takes care of the volume and the variety of the data that you foresee is going to there. And such tools are scalable when it comes to the sizes of the data that is there. Well, in many organizations, what happens is the typical BI approach that is followed in the organizations right now, this is a typical problem that we have. We have different systems, and those systems, they are just catering to a few departments, and there is no one streamlined thing that can give me a story around the entire organization. So FS would be financial services organization, if somebody is asking. Just an example, it could be any other organization. So here, what the tools like SaaSBI are going to do, first of all, a SaaS platform would integrate all the data into one place, and then once it is there, then from there, each department can have their reports, and then there can be an overall consolidated report which can tell me the entire health of the organization. So when we say dashboard or storytelling, these are the kind of activities or the base that we need to have, so that we have a centralized access to all the different and the myriad systems of the data sets or the data systems we have. Once integrated, with SaaS platform allows you to do that. From there we move on to the other things. Now coming to the visual analytics, you see, to create a business story, what we need to do is that we need to cater to different walks or the departments of the business that we have. For example, let's say in a bank, this is just a sample application we're talking about. If I have to see if the bank is not doing well, I have to dig out into the many of those departments that are there. So what this tool is going to do is it allows me as a single platform for all the possible departments. Now these are all indicated. For example, like sales, branches, advisors. So I might be talking about sales and revenue analysis, targeting, sales performance analysis. Now this thing would and might impact other areas of the business like lending, payments, and transactions. It could be dependent on that. Then the risk management, compliance, finance, operations, IT, portfolio, marketing, and product management. You see, to come up with a story, we need to first have a track of all the walks of the business, the sub-departments, the departments. And such a tool is what going to do is to first integrate the data, as I was showing in the previous diagram here. This can only be achieved first once you have a single layer of data with all the possible different systems going and coming at one place. Once integrated, then we should have the reports for individual departments, and finally the tool would communicate and come up with some kind of a story that helps me to understand where the business is going. So that is what it is. And few things like what are the kind of industries such tools are useful. The answer is virtually every industry is where such tools can be deployed. So be it automotive, banking, defense, government, healthcare, health insurance, travels and transportation, you see it almost names everything else. And for more information, these are some of the links that I'll be sharing, as you would be going to get a recording of that. You can browse through those links and see that how different industries are using this. And there are a lot of videos on the YouTube itself for this tool, which is telling you how the tool was useful for, let's say, a bank maybe or other company. So I'll tell you how to do a quick search on the YouTube also a little while after this, once we go to the demos. But then this tool has to be used by all. Now coming to the few demos, what we are going to talk about is, first we'll talk about certain things in the part, and then we'll go to the demonstrations of the other things. So first, the tool that we are in question today is what we are going to talk about is, let me go to the login manager. So this is a browser-based tool that is there. So I need to log in first. So I've already put in my credentials. So the tool looks like this. It has capabilities to explore the data, prepare the data, administer the data, and then ultimately design a report, which will be essentially, used for the storytelling purposes. But before we do that, the data preparation has to be there. So my data has to be having the right kind of columns that I need, and then from there, I need to have the right kind of tables. It has inbuilt visual query builder, so you can do joins and all that without actually writing a SQL code. But what I'll start with is, the exploration of the data. So once you go to the data explorer, this tool takes you from one link to the other, and this is something how it is going to look like in a short while from now. Once you are inside an explorer, what you're going to do is to let's say select the data source. So I've just selected a small data set for the demonstration. So if I go to the just give me a minute. I am just looking for the data that I'm interested in. So this is all the data sets that are available to me. I'm just picking up a data. While not only that, these are all preloaded data that I have in my system. Other than that, this tool also allows you to import data from various other sources like the Twitter and the social media and many other sources that might be there. For example, you can have local files going in either as Excel, text files, or SAS dataset, or you might connect to different kinds of servers like DB2, Greenplum, MySQL, Netezza. It has special arrangements to connect to Hadoop, and then the other social media like Facebook, Google Analytics, and the Twitter. So you see, my access to data and the sources is virtually unlimited as far as this tool is concerned. Well, let me just take up data to start our journey into this particular tool. So what happens is the moment you select a particular data set, the data gets loaded, the interface looks like this, and from here my few explorations that might be very quick and easy to understand. I'll start with that, and slowly I'll go into other kind of things. For example, let me see. You see, I have this data set where I have these customers. Now this is a fictitious data. Of course, the data is real. We have changed the name of the company. Here, you have a manufacturer who is manufacturing toys. His facilities, the manufacturing facilities, would have presence across the continents in different countries. There are 2 product brands that we see. There are 8 product lines. There are 71 product makes. There are 335 product styles and everything. And then you have a lot of measures like the sales of cost, customer satisfaction, and a lot of other variables like lat long and all that, in case I want to do a GIS kind of a thing. To begin with, how easy it is, the tool is. For example, first of all, I just want to know how my sale is across the continent. So all I need to do is to drag the continent, and then the second interests me is the product sale side of it. So here it tells me that the max of sales is in North America, as long as it is sum. Now on the fly, a user can simply change the aggregation from sum to the average, and the story is different now. You see, the average sales are higher in South America, wherein the average is, I think, the lowest in North America. But if you go by the sum of the sales were highest in the North America. So that way I can keep on changing the metric I want here. And a simple bar graph to begin with is what it's gonna tell me how does it looks like. So you see here, the idea is to have a graphical view and then try to have some kind of visualization. So likewise, there are some other visualizations before I go to the overall demo of forecasting and everything. So let me show you another visualization. So let's say the word cloud, for example. So here, instead of using the tools, I am just dropping back, and I can either drag and drop. Let's talk about things like I have different types of product makes with me. So immediately, the graph shifts to the product make, and the user can just say, let's say the size I want to be by, not the frequency in the data, but maybe let's say the product sale. And then, I just want my to say instead of a sale, the size is for the sale, but I have the color choices also. I might want to give, let's say, customer satisfaction as one of the styles here. So here, what this graph or the idea behind this graph tells me, you see the products, the size is now based on the sales. Wherever I have higher sales, I know what are my products now, which are heavy on sales, and at the same time I realize based on the color that here some of these things are high on customer satisfaction and low, and if I look at the color kind of a thing, I know that the higher the satisfaction looks like, higher the sales. Not only that, I have full control on what kind of color scheme I want to choose. Maybe I just want to change the view. The green is where the customer satisfaction is more, the red where it is least. Now I have a business guy who is handling the product portfolio, would have an idea what are the products I need to work on. The small size of the products that we have, and the size is small, sale is low. The size is red, the satisfaction issues are there. So I need to now work on the products which are low on the things and the other. So color schemes, likewise, I have different types of schemes that I keep on changing it and everything. So here it communicates the entire thing around the data. Now the size could have been trillion rows as well, no matter what. These graphs are as quick as they would be. Now let me also try to show you a few more visualizations to begin with. So let me change this visualization. That doesn't make much sense here. So what I'm going to do is to try to create a visualization. So I want to keep, let's say, the sales, and on the y-axis, I want to replace this by, let's say, the x-axis I want to be maybe something, let's say the cost of sales. Then, I just want to, you see, I can rearrange the data and everything, and the bubble sizes I can control based on, some other parameter. And then let me take the group basis on the product make, for example. So let me take product line. It will have the small bubble sizes coming in, and you have got the sale and you have got this thing. And let's say, the bubble size we also can provide depending on, for example, maybe the material cost or something. Or let me put it this way, if I want, let me just create one of these things. So let me replace sales by and size by the product sale. So you see the choices are like free, and not only that, this bubble chart, what story it will convey. I'll go to the the animation side of it, and let me put an animation based on transaction month. Once the graph is ready, I can play the animation, and what this animation tells me, if you can see, and I can loop in, and this can be run downloaded as a flash file. So you see the products are banging in the sense the cost of sale and the product and the size is based on the sale. Different months you see my sale jumps for certain product too much, but for certain products the sale is not jumping too much. The sizes and all this. So which means whenever I see high sales, first of all, it's not a year round phenomena. What it is trying to show you is that when I hit December, for example, my bubbles, 3 of those bubbles, which I can understand easily by the color, which is like green, yellow, and I think that color is called fuchsia or something. I'm not sure what the name is. It's like the shade of blue. These are figurine, plush, and game. Now these products are highly cyclic in the nature. As you can see, the kind of bang they receive, sales jumps in. Obviously, the price also gets jumps in. So I'm playing around with the price, and high price also guarantees me high sales, and the cost of sales has to go up a little bit. So it is telling me 3-4 things at the same time: the correlations in the different months, the bangs or the seasonality swings that your products get, and what products are far more stable, or years around they have same kind of demands. Of course, the bubbles you see, the red ones and at the bottom left, they're not too much of a seasonal product. Also, they're not fetching me higher sales vis-a-vis the other dots that I see. The size of the bubble I have set is set to be the sales. So that way the stories can be built around and can be further communicated using different kinds of items that I have. So likewise, I can preserve these visualizations. I'm also going to talk about few more things. Let's say let's talk about a typical forecasting activity, which is one of the important aspects that is required nowadays. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to take transaction month, for example. This is how my let's say sales I just want to analyze for a while. You see, in a fraction or in a minute or two, I would have a forecast of product sale also available. And I can also put independent variables, which I feel like that what might be the causes of that. So let's say I've taken product sale, and I believe that sale is a function of the material cost for that matter. Let's say this is my underlying factor that I might feel, or I might hypothesize it. So I might say cost is one of the factors that impacts. The product quality might be the factor. So now, once we have seen that, what's happening here is we see that these variables have an impact on my sales, and these lines that you see, these are the forecasted region that I have. And not only that, I can have the forecast. I can check out what kind of a forecasting model might be deployed by the system. So it gives you the 95% confidence interval. It also gives you the analysis that we have. So if I have to just see the analysis of the results, I have the tables available. Anytime I can export the table as a CSV file, and I can save it wherever I want. Also, I need to know what kind of a model would have resulted in such kind of a thing. So it also tells me that we have the product sale, we have the forecasting algorithm. It is using ARIMA modeling, and we call it ARIMA exogenous, and the equation and everything all the parameters are available to me that I can export and debate with the statistician and all other things. Now, other than that, what it also allows me to do is, there are two important things in any forecast that I might have to do. So one is called the scenario analysis and the other is called the goal seeking. Now, let us assume that I believe that, my costs are gonna up next month, my quality would be like this. These are the variables I control as a manager. And I want to see if in the next coming months, if I were to change the fate of certain decision variables, maybe the price, the quality, the cost, or I'm going to do something to my independent variables that I have full control on, and the moment I apply, it immediately updates how the forecast is going to look like. Now behind the scenes, obviously there is a mathematical equation working, but to get an ARIMA modeling, you try it on R and Python is a hell of a job. All that coding that is required, the package downloads and everything. Here it is just even a child could have done this, and then he can find out what impact a given change in a given variable in upcoming months would bring to my sales figure, and that's how it can be done. Nevertheless, I can do the reverse. Let's say my job is to increase the sale. 2 months from now, my target is something. So this target can be dragged and drop, or you can right click and you can either set a point value or a series value. So I'm just putting here this. I want to see what other changes I should bring in if the sale has to go up to this level, so I can do the goal seeking and I can apply, and I see that this is what I need to do. If I want this kind of sales to be achieved, I need to work on my product quality this much, and the cost has to be kept at that level. So you see, given a dependent variable, what all independent variable I need to put in, I can decide by doing such kind of small activities. Now there are lots and lots of other visualizations that are available. Not only that, I can also do linear regression, logistic regression, generalized linear models, and cluster analysis. Now this is all machine learning algorithms which also come inbuilt within the tool, and that is the point that it distinguishes it from many of the other dashboarding tools that we have. Now apart from that, what I would do also is to show you that let's say you have done analysis this way, this factor impacts this way, and then you are analyzing it all the way. You can do lot other things by creating geomaps also. So what I'm going to do is, let me just show you a quick small visualization on how to do a geomap, and that can also convey me a story if I wish to. So first, I have the map of America. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I have got continents. So I'll very quickly create geographies for me. This is just see how easy it is to do that as long as I have data. So first I'm defining a geography for me using continent lat and the continent longitude. So just wait for a while. I'll just be assigning some variables which has the lat long information for continents. I've picked up continents as a geography now. I'm going to pick up, let's say, have countries also. So I will pick up country lat long. Let me also pick, I can go till the customer level, but what I'll do, let me pick one more, at least for the city that I have. And what I'm going to do is to maybe create for the city as well. Now once this is done, this tool allows me to do a lot of data preparation activities like creating new columns, new categories and everything. All I will do is create a hierarchy for myself. And I would say, the continent is part, and then comes the country, and then comes the city. I'm going to put OK to it. Now my intention is to, first let's have that hierarchy coming in over here. I want to check out, let's say how my sales are in each of these things. Sorry, let me say sales. and let me say facility efficiency. So you see here, what I can do is I can check out how these things looks like. So what this graph is trying to reveal is that I have most of these things. My sales are very high here in America. If I have to double click it, immediately takes me to what countries, and if I go to North America, what are all the cities I'm into, and then I move on. It tells me what is the sale of a particular city and everything. Now let's say let's come to here. We are here in the Asia. I click on the Asia bubble. It takes me that in Asia we are all here. Oh, in India we are somewhere here. So let me go to the India. So here I am in India. You see the red sign indicates that the efficiency is low, and the size of the bubble indicatively, if I have to compare the countries within Asia, the size was also small. So we do have, operations in India. It's MG Road, New Delhi, somewhere it is there. But the bubble is red, and the bubble is very small. So this particular company has comparatively less sales as compared to, let's say, China, or these Middle East companies, or maybe some of these Indonesia kind of companies. The bubble red indicates that we do not have much of the facility efficiency coming in. Now this is just the choice that I made. It could be any other variable which you want to convey and bring focus of the management towards these visualizations. So that way it goes on a never-ending basis, and you keep on creating visualizations the way you like it. Also, to connect all these dots, these were all independent graphs, but what happens is one might also want to see the designer side of it, which we call report designer. Then it allows me to create a multi-page, multi-web page view of a lot of those business activities, and there I can have a fully fledged dashboard that can convey the entire story to me. And here again the same process will happen. I would have the visualizations available. I can interlink one graph to the other. I can click one graph and see what is happening vis-a-vis in the other graph. So here I'll just simply say that all you need is to have a data in the place first. So the same way that we did there, the process is just the same. So the tool is easy to learn. I would just pick up the data that I had. I would add the data. Nevertheless, I can pull the data from several places and then bring it in here. Once the columns are loaded, then I can have section 1 for sales, section 2 for something else, 3. I click something on section 1, it can bring forward section 2, and likewise a multi-section report can be created using this designer tool, and that's where the story will come. Now what I would suggest is that if you are on Google, for example, you have to type something like this: SaaS Visual Analytics Interactive Dashboards. And the third link which says SaaS Visual Analytics Interactive Demos, it will give you some of those interactive demos for different industries, like for banking, what might be the story, for communications, what might be the story, for retail, or for manufacturing, or for utilities. So what I've done is, I just pick up one of the items, we are calling. Let me see if the page is there or not. Let me refresh the page. At the same time, let me, take up some retail demo. So what these demos eventually do, it will take a little while for these demos to load, and then from there, what we'll see that these graphs, the one that I was making, can be interlinked from one to the other, communicating, one story beginning with, and so let's say my sales are low, so I want to see what area my sales are low, so it could be a geo map. Within that, I go and it opens another table from there, that if it has to be low, why it is low, what are the reasons, and how does it works out. And this link, why I'm taking you there on the internet is, it also has this, once you are into the main page which says interactive demos, you want to try the tool on your own, there is a free trial available. It's all free. All you need to put is some login ID and a password to have a right kind of a profile, and once it is there, it will get back to you. You see, this is one of the dashboards that I have. So this is what we generally refer to as storytelling. For example, I want to see how my cost was. So I click on 2015, my cost was 17 million plus 10 million. Now the context is about a warranty analysis. It could have been financial analysis, stock market analysis, and there are different examples that you can explore at your free time. These links are publicly available. And if I from 15 to 16, I see how the cost structures are moving and how the warranties are being done. And you see there is a shift happening. 2017, my highest cost, if I'm a car manufacturer, was in the chassis. So most of the warranties and the costs were involved with the chassis. But in 2018, I worked on that, and then the engine now became the first one, and then I need to work on the engine. So it tells me that year on year what you have been doing and how the analysis is happening and how the cost change look from one year to the other. So such graphs can be created and put in the story, and this is the section 1. Now you can go to the detailed cost analysis. If at all my costs are there in the chassis, where the costs are there, how the trends in the cost have been. So I see that November last 2017, after that, I see my cost has been increasing. So why this cost of the claim has been increasing, and chassis seems to have the high, which means my quality team should be working on the parts of the chassis where it is there. So you see, the storyboarding or the business storytelling could have been there. So first I see my cost year on year. I'm concerned about my cost. I realize that for a given year, let's say 17 or 18, engine of the chassis was the one. Then I go to the detailed cost analysis and see which area, what are the trends in the cost which are there. Let's say for the year 2017 it was chassis. Then I go to the labor details, like if there are costs, what are the things that I'm doing in the chassis, whether it was replacements, whether it has to do with the shocker, what kind of labor amount is being spent by the dealer, and then how the claim amounts have been moving. And from that, I would also like to forecast. If I'm sitting in 2008, I would like to see my cost distribution and what areas the costs are. For example, like the chassis, transmission, closer systems, engine, and other things. And I would also like to see how the 2018 June onwards. So today, for example, sitting somewhere in June, I want to see in the future how the cost movement would look like if I'm not going to take any action. How the things would look like. And forecast can be multiple. Is it just, for example, it is the material amount. This is the forecast for the labor amount. This is the forecast for the claim count. And likewise, I can have as many as tabs depending on what a business would like to see, how the future would look like if the cost were to be the analysis. So this is one of the stories, and this story is largely on a client data which has problems in high cost in the warranty. And this particular dashboard, what it is allowing me to do is to giving me insights year on year cost wise, what are the areas of the cost, whether it is material, labor, or any other kind of amount. From there I went on to the detailed cost analysis, what part of this analysis is there, or what part is doing me, what are the relevant trends in that. Now I can create these sections like more information, what this information is there, what formulas were used, or what links were used, or what is the rationale behind this. So you can have these pop-up windows added to each of these graphic elements, which tells me how the cost movement is gonna look like. And then we go to the labor details, and further we can see that inside that what is happening at each of the specific locations or a specific point of time. I can see the details. I click one graph and you see the trends get changed. For example, suspension repairs, this is how the cost looks like. Rear brake vibration problems, how the cost movements are. So you can go each specific area, drilling down further down and down until the last granularity of data. You can do this way. And finally, you can be generating forecasts as far as your costs are concerned. So this is something that we see when it comes to usage of tools like this. So what I'm gonna also talk about is what we have seen largely is how to create those particular graphs, and then from there how to create the story today we created was around the cost. We also understood the nitty-gritties of creating the graph, and that's how the entire system can be designed to play any story. So I'll also tell you that how such stories, you now know the link, and then there are some key industries, their stories are shown and what they convey. We can create our own story. Now this tool is being used by chief ministers of certain governments to have the view of their investments in the state. This is being used by the heads of the bank in many other places. So as I said, there are a lot of industries we cover by this storytelling. What I'm going to do now is to talk about the webinar that we're doing here. You see, you have seen the tool, but then if you want to master the tool, you need to have some kind of training available onto that. So we are coming up with NMMIS, and we have been bringing up a course. Well, NMMIS, we all know the name and the legacy it carries. A lot of schools associated with SVM group, and the NMMIS distance learning is a part of it. And SAS has been associated with NMMIS with 2011, starting from selling the license and then going forward, upgrading, putting certification courses, delivering the tool, knowledge, projects, and a lot of other activities. And 2016 to 18, the relationship has been growing. And for the first time, NMMIS and SAS, we have joined on the online learning mode as well. So NMMIS Global Access School for Continuing Education is where we are running the course on the distance learning mode on the pan-India basis. In fact, people from outside are also joining in. And there is a global certification attached also, apart from the regular NMMIS certificate that you get. So these courses, when they start, how they start, all these details are there, and we'll be happy to share with that. We're also running a course on machine learning on the same lines which we discussed in the last webinar. So see, we have been doing a lot of webinars. This is one of those webinar series that we have. So data visualization, we have 24-hour, 2 hours per session kind of a schedule for the basics, like the basic statistics that might be required to understand certain aspects of VA. Then we are going to teach this business visualization on a 3-month basis, 2 hours per session on the weekend. Total is 32 hours. So the tool access, the practice sessions, the lecture videos, everything is available there once you are enrolled to the course. The other is machine learning, which we have talked earlier. Probably we'll talk again in some other webinar, since it's the series of webinars that we do almost every month. Well, so this program with NMMIS, there was reasons. SAS has the tool and the capability. NMMIS has the way how the students understand, and they have a proven name in educating people. SAS is a proven name in the technology. So both coming together and then offering it for working professionals was the idea that why we should be going with the distance learning mode or the online mode with an NMMIS. So a lot of benefits that would accrue once you have this course. The duration is shorter, it's weekend, joint certifications you get. It has SAS global certifications also put into it, and the SAS part is taught by the SAS faculties who are all doctorates, consultants working in the desired fields. So this way, this program or everything becomes interesting to join. And any of these doubts or any further info that you require, this is your toll-free number. That's where you would be calling on Mondays and Saturdays between 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then from there. Or if you want to put an email, you can put the email at ngasc@nmmis.edu. And before I just take on some of the questions which I might have missed out, what I would also request you to do is simply when you go to the Google, this is one link, the SAS Visual Analytics Interactive Dashboards, and the third or the fourth link, which goes by the name SAS Visual Analytics Interactive Demo, will give you a lot more stories, a lot more ideas about the tool. You can get a free trial of the tool as well to learn and explore more. Nevertheless, what also you can do is, meanwhile, if you are interested, you can go to the YouTube and type keywords, for example, like SAS Visual Analytics, or maybe the Union Bank of India or something. So you can be selective in putting names, and you can try, and then it will tell you how the SAS VA was used in the Union Bank of India. Or let's say you want to use SAS VA for fighting fraud, so there is a full-fledged storyline available. So there are a lot of those videos that are there, and most of the videos are provided by the SAS software itself. Let's say you want to understand more about the retail part of it, then you want to see more and more applications like this. Many industries we have capturing on the SAS, whether it is banking and all that, and such videos, interviews, some of them are on CNBC and others. So that way you will come to know the importance of visualization and the dashboarding that we have. So what I'm going to do now is, there are a lot of questions in the chat window that were coming. So that's what, let me try to see that where all we can do that. So let me address the questions. So some of the questions goes like, can you suggest an open line forum for BA and data? Like, there are a lot of forums. Those forums are maintained by different companies. SAS has our own community on business visualization. Likewise, your Tableau and other players would also have it. So all you need to do is to simply just Google it for. I'll recommend the SAS community as I'm coming from SAS, but then there are other good communities as well for that. And then finally, let me talk about some of the other questions. For marketing data management, again, these tools can be accessed, used. We have a lot of customers who are using this tool for the marketing department itself, whether it is digital marketing, whether it's about the trends, whether it is about the customer segmentation, whether it is the profitability of each segment analysis. There are lots and lots of applications that exist in the marketing. Now, again, one quick question here, I think I can see in the chat window, was how business visualization is different from business analytics. You see, when I say business analytics, it has three pillars. One, getting the data and preparing the data. Second, analyzing the data by machine learning tools or statistical analysis. And third is the reporting part of it. So business visualization is the third pillar and the most important pillar. But what is happening, as we see, the technologies are converging. I can have my watch and the camera and everything in my mobile phone. Likewise, the new tools like SAS Visual Analytics, they're trying to converge everything into one tool. So this tool has capabilities of preparing the data, doing statistical analysis, as we saw in forecasting, and then on top of it, reporting is also inbuilt into it. But traditionally speaking, business visualization is one of the pillars of business analytics, which supports the front-end reporting to the end user. That is what we have. So some of the questions, there are a lot of other advanced visualizations available, and because of the limited time we couldn't do that. So it can create network diagrams, it can create Sankey diagrams, it can create all those complex text mining, sentimental analysis kind of a thing once you're on Twitter and Facebook. So it has lots of other visualization which traditional tools out in the market might not have it. So these are some of the questions. Few more questions I see that how does this data this tool or the data analysis can be related to a restaurant management. See, this tool is being used by Yum Foods, which is running KFC and McDonald's in India along with Pizza Hut. So the new age restaurants or so-called restaurants that you call, whether it's KFC, McDonald's, anything, they're all using it. Similarly, a typical restaurant might also want to use it. It can be used for seeing the financial analysis of the restaurant, all those trends, when typical weekend, how much is the spike, or over a year what is the spike, and also it can talk about efficiencies, wastages in a restaurant, patterns in the restaurant. From there we can also have a forecast produced which gives me how the footfalls are going to like to be for, let's say, a given week. If you have daily data, then the daily level forecast can be done, and if I have the daily forecast available for the demand, I'm in a very right position to see what kind of preparations in the inventory I should hold and what kind of things I should produce more or less so that the wastage is minimized. So it has many opportunities. You see, it's a tool that allows me to do that, and more creative I am using and thinking in it, better is what the utilization of the tools would look like. So I think these are some of the questions that I could see right now, and there are no more questions. So what I would do now is again, if you have any kind of questions, you please type in. I would like to answer them straight away. This session is open for another 5 minutes or so. You can write all these your queries here. If not, there are no queries, I would be closing the session. So let me know. Please type it in the chat window if you have anything that you want to share or ask. Finally, while you're asking question answer, this is the contact point for your any queries that you have regarding this concept, this tool, and any other kind of things. Now I see some questions popping up. So the webinar recording is going to be shared. That is one of the concerns that you all have. This recording will be shared with you. Second is, can we add custom color to visualization? Yes. So the answer is yes. Any combination of RGB scale can be put into that, and it's all no coding required. All you have to do is to pick the color of your choice, or you give the RGB value, and you can do that. We have several clients where typical, for example, a media house is running a channel, and that channel has a different logo, and that color has to be done. You can scan the color, find out the RGB, and put back the same kind of RGB in the tool, and then the color is given. Not only that, what I haven't discussed in this tool is you can put your own banners, images, text beneath or behind the graphs. The mobile phone also allows you to annotate, write comments on the fly. So there are many other features which in this short span of time couldn't be discussed, but the answer is yes. Any kind of custom color, images, text, background colors, banners, they can all be added to this tool. So guys, again, one more question coming in. This tool is 100% responsive. You open it on a iPhone of a smaller size, then iPad, and then on a laptop, depending on the dimensions of the screen, whatever it is, it adjusts itself. It has to be responsive, otherwise the whole concept of mobile BI is gonna fail. So any tool in the market which is coming up with mobile capability or iPad or any other kind of device capability, they are inherently responsive. That goes without saying. That's how the tool is. So I think if you have any more questions, please keep on putting into the chat window. I would like to answer. If not, I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes and then we're going to close this session. So I'm waiting, guys. So looks like no more questions are pouring in. Please feel free to write your queries or any other things to the email ID that I'm displaying over there, or please feel free to call. This tool typically requires 30 to 32 hours of training to master all the aspects of this tool. What you've seen, I would say, is the tip of the iceberg. But if you want to be an expert onto it, obviously some time has to be spent to master each and every aspect, and that way you can get along with the tool and use it. This tool is being used by leading organizations around the world, not in India. The YouTube references can give you whatever, there's a whole lot of videos created around on this tool. So I think no more questions. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time on a working day at such an hour. Some of the questions, you're going to get these PPTs. In fact, you're going to get the recording. You might not get the PPTs as such, as it's a copyright of both SAS and NN. But what you're going to get is the entire recording of this webinar. So thanks, guys. Thanks once again for sharing your time. And no more questions, so let me stop here. Thank you once again.